Hello and welcome back to Raising Healthy Mothers. This week, we are right in the middle of the back to school self-care week. That is a free challenge that I'm running again. I've brought it back after the first one I ran 2 years ago, because just like 2 years ago, I felt that I needed a little bit of accountability, but I also felt I was in such a different position than I was 2 years ago. So as I said, we're right in the middle of the self-care week, and I love what I'm hearing already from the participants, and most importantly of all is the fact that just by signing up to join the self-care week, they know that whatever is happening right now, whatever they're going through right now, whatever season of motherhood they're in right now, something needs to happen. And just by signing up, they have made massive steps ahead in just thinking to themselves, I need to look after myself a little bit more. I need to prioritize myself a little bit. And by the way, if you are listening to this in the week that this goes out, which is on the 24th of September, it is not too late to join. You are very welcome. Don't worry about being behind. There's no such thing as being behind. You just catch up on the day's work. Every single video that I post is very, very short. You can listen to it, while you're doing something else if you need to. And the action point, the activity, the self-care activity is very, very simple. A lot of it is much more about reflecting and thinking about what you need and how you can fit it into your life. But today I want to talk about why meeting your own needs is not selfish. It's completely essential. As I mentioned in last week's episode, I talked about the fact that looking after yourself is looking after your family. And this is what happens when you stop ignoring them. So you may have heard of the term depletion, or if you haven't, you have now. Postnatal depletion. It's not just about being a little bit tired, a little bit exhausted, that thing that people say, oh, all mums are a bit tired, aren't they? It's when you have brain fog, mood swings, you're constantly irritated, or maybe you're noticing that you're getting ill more often. Those are all signs of depletion, and it's something that I see all the time in my clients, whether they come to me 6 months postpartum, 1 year postpartum, or even maybe they've got their second child and they're 3 years postpartum with their second child. These things show up, and quite often it gets dismissed as perimenopause or just what happens when you become a mother. But is that the case? I say these are signs that your body is asking for some attention. And if you ignore it, if you keep pushing through, it doesn't go away. It compounds, it gets bigger, it gets worse. And yes, maybe it is perimenopause. Maybe you're in your 40s, maybe you're thinking, is that what it is? Is it my hormones? Yes, it could be, but that doesn't mean that's it. You can't do anything about it. Of course you can. And it starts by addressing that depletion, looking at the nutrients that you will have lost during pregnancy, during childbirth, during breastfeeding, and all of those times when you were meeting your children's needs and not your own. And when you meet your own needs, that's when the shift happens. That's when you become that patient, calmer, more good-humoured mum that I know that you are looking to be. That's when you can think more clearly, when your moods are steadier, when you're not worrying that your children are thinking that you're so changeable, that you're like Jekyll and Hyde. 1 minute you're shouting at them and then the next minute you're playing with them and being really kind to them. You want your children to know that you are steady and predictable and calm when you need it to be, so that you can deal with all of those challenges that they throw at you with the right mindset. And of course, when you are steadier, when you can think more clearly and you have more energy, then you're going to have the knock-on effects of the family life that you're looking for. You're going to have those calmer family meal times. You're going to have fewer meltdowns, not just yours, but theirs too, because they are mirroring your mood, remember. And of course, smoother mornings where you're not feeling like you're rushing around, that you're forgetting things, that you are just feeling so completely overwhelmed and out of control. And this is something that my clients tell me within a few months of working together. They really notice the difference when they start putting the right nutrients in, once they start fueling themselves properly, once they know exactly what to eat to stay in control, then they are much more able to do all the other things that they really want to do for themselves. They want to be able to start an exercise routine. They want to start being able to do yoga. They want to start being able to take up a hobby again. Or maybe they want to start tackling that really challenging situation like a fussy eater, or the fact that their child is really struggling at school and needs an advocate. All of those things are so much easier when you are steady, when you're calmer, when you have that energy. That's why so much of the work that I do starts with talking about prioritizing yourself. And that's true of everything. It's true in the way that you eat and the And it's true in the way that you spend your time. Now, that doesn't mean that you completely ignore everyone else's needs. You are never going to do that, because that is not the sort of mum that you are. But you do need to stop thinking that self-care equals selfishness. You need to stop thinking that that is something to be guilty of, because looking after you makes you more available in the way that you want to be to your family, not less. Taking time for yourself is not about taking time away from your family. It's about taking time to find yourself, to find your equilibrium, so that you can be there for your family in the way that I know you want to. You're not taking away from your family, you're fueling yourself so you can show up in the way that you want to. So what has this all got to do with your health? Well, ignoring your own needs often shows up physically. You might notice that you catch colds more, you've got lower immunity. Maybe, you're looking at winter coming around, you're thinking you're inevitably going to spend most of it getting sick, catching everything that your children bring home from school or nursery. Or it might come in the form of just sluggishness and fatigue and exhaustion, and just feeling like, it can be really hard to get up, like you're wading through treacle. Meeting your needs is the foundation for resilience. And that is especially true as we come into winter, as we come into the season where, our immune system is challenged a lot more. You need to be resilient. And that starts with that kind of self-care foundation, that prioritizing yourself foundation. So your action point for today. This week, notice one moment where you normally ignore your own needs. So maybe skipping a meal, or just kind of pushing through on coffee instead of having some breakfast. Maybe it's noticing that you're feeling really exhausted, but instead of going down for a lie down, you kind of push through and try and do the next thing on your to-do list. Or maybe you're saying yes to someone when really you wanted to say no. Just notice that moment when you are ignoring your own needs and contributing to that depletion. And then can you take a moment, can you pause and make a different choice once? So notice that moment when things push you over into exhaustion, and instead take a beat and make the different choice. And then think, well, what difference did that make to your day? Now, as I said, we're right in the middle of the back to school self-care week this week, and you can still join us. Each day we're taking that one small step. So even if you start today, you will feel the difference. You can keep up with what we're doing, and then you can go back and catch up next week as well if you wanted to. You can find the link to join in the show notes and come and take that first step with us. I hope to see you there. Otherwise, I will see you next week for another episode of Raising Healthy Mothers. Bye for now.